Imagine growing up believing you finally found a home, and at 13 years old hearing, "We don't want you anymore." That's what happened to me. I was adopted when I was still a little girl, and returned as if returning a defective order. But this story doesn't end with rejection. It starts there. Because no one returns a broken heart without consequences. And what happened next transformed my life, and maybe it will transform yours. 2. My biological mother was unable to follow me. Too many problems. Too many wounds. Then I was handed over to a woman who said she was ready to take care of me. Nothing has been made official. No judge. No paper. Just a promise said out loud. Now, she is my daughter. I was 6 years old and I believed that love was this. Someone saying they would stay. But staying is much more than just promising. They gave me a house, but they didn't give me a floor. They gave me food, but they didn't give me a voice. That's when I learned the body can be warm, and the soul can still feel cold. In the beginning, I got clothes, toys, food, but each gift came with a reminder. You have to be grateful. Exemplary behavior, you hear? I was constantly reminded that they were doing me a favor, and every mistake a child made was costly. Punishments, cold looks, and when nothing worked, the belt appeared. I was taught that affection comes with conditions. And I started hating myself every time I made a mistake. They didn't just hit me on my body, but on my self-esteem. I spent sleepless nights trying to understand why I existed. And little by little, I began to believe that I was indeed a mistake. At school, I had scars. In the body, in the look, in the silence. The teachers saw, but they didn't see. Colleagues moved away, and even when I wanted to scream, my voice would choke. The feeling was like living inside a glass box, where everyone could see, but no one could get close. And when they asked if everything was okay, I smiled. Because if I told the truth, I might be punished again at home. Or worse, maybe no one would believe it. I drew little crying faces in my notebook. It was my secret way of asking for help. But no one ever asked what those drawings meant. And that hurt more than any slap. Every time I disobeyed, I was sent to someone else's house in the family. There, the rules change, but the coldness was the same. One night, they locked me out for coming home from school with a flower drawn on my hand. It looks like a criminal's tattoo, they said. And even without understanding what that meant, I cried, not by punishment, but because I was tired of not being good enough for anyone. I wondered if all adopted children were treated this way, and I began to wish I could go back to the womb from which I should never have come. Sometimes, I pretended I was invisible. It was less painful than being noticed only to be punished. At 13, I was put in the car like someone taking an old piece of furniture to donate. They left me at my uncle's house and said, "She is no longer useful." The word return was not used, but the feeling was clear. I spent that day listening to people saying they couldn't be with me. We already have children. She's a handful. She is not our responsibility. In the end, I understood. Nobody wanted a burden, and I was that weight. Each no was a new open wound. I went to sleep that day feeling like I had died, except my heart was still beating. Being returned made me believe I didn't deserve to exist. There began a journey of borrowed roofs. 3 weeks here, 2 months there. I slept on the floor and ate what was left over. I did favors to continue. And yet, she was often expelled. I suffered abuse. And when I tried to tell them, they said it was a lie. So I stopped talking, and I started planning to live on the street. Because there, at least, no one promises love. There, pain is expected, and it doesn't come with false promises. I got used to not having anywhere to go back to, and I began to carry everything I was in a light backpack and a heavy heart. I met a girl in a youth group. She listened to me. No rush, no judgment. And when I finished telling her everything, she said, "You go to my house. You only leave there to fly when you want." I didn't believe it, but I accepted. I arrived with a shopping bag and a blouse with holes in it. She gave me a bed, a clean towel dot, and for the first time in a long time, silence. Not a silence of fear, but of peace. She didn't ask me anything for the first few days. Just let me breathe. And I cried so much, not out of sadness, but out of relief. She enrolled me in a course. He taught me how to cook, how to wash my clothes, how to believe in myself. Every day he said, "You are not what they made you. You are what you are going to do with all this." And I did. I worked. I studied. I cried many nights, but I was never returned. She never had to say she loved me. She stayed. And that ... saved my life. I learned that consistency is worth more than pretty words, and that love is presence, and that every trauma can become a testimony if you are loved at the right time. Today I look back and see I wasn't difficult. I was hurt. I wasn't any trouble. I just needed healing. I wrote this story because I know there are a lot of people like me. People who were treated as disposable. But what you should know, you are not a mistake. You are a new beginning. And as long as there is a beating heart, you can still find the place you call home. Don't give back the one you promised to love. Because when you abandon a child, you are not closing a story. You are starting a trauma that could last a lifetime. But true love, the love that heals, can break any cycle. I am proof of that.